Good evening, guys. Or should I say sugar gliders? I think some people are calling us. Sugar shakers. I was calling you that earlier on. Anyway, good evening. Welcome to what is this now? Day 4 for most people. I know there's a couple of people that are just tagging on a day or so later. And Chris starting today. Good luck, Chris. I've been keeping an eye on your rehab from your knee replacement and the infection and everything. So I wish you all the best, cutting out sugar and sorting out your weight. So good luck with that. And everyone else, I've just been having a little bit of a browse through the Facebook group, and it's just phenomenal that the food that people are sharing, the questions they're asking, the encouragement they're giving. It's just absolutely brilliant. We've got a little visitor. You saying hello? You going to say hello? No, they're not. Here we go.
Hello. Hi.
I might have to use the microphone.
Oh, hello, everybody. Are there lots of people in there that I know?
Well, there's 13. So
is Claire there?
Claire Bear's there.
Oh, Kathy
Batchelor, Alison Jarnock. Who else is there?
I was just about to say stream.
Huh?
It's something that's saying it's streaming.
Mika.
Yeah. Oh, Mika, we know. Yeah. So. Cool.
Good. Oh, saying hello. It's
Hello.
Mildred. Hello.
I can't wait to see you all. In fact, I'm desperate. So, yeah.
Eva.
Yeah, Eva. Wow. That's so cool. Oh, enjoy.
Yeah, so a little cameo appearance from Paula. She is still alive. I've not buried her in the patio yet, but okay. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about starch. It's not going to take very long because most people have worked out that they're going to have to cut out some of the starchy foods, the rice, the pasta, the breads, potatoes, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know why it's a little bit darker. Oh yeah, I know why. So I'm not going to labour the point too much, but I will kind of talk about it a little bit. And I'm also going to talk about like how we sort of ended up eating so much sort of starchy food. I mean, it's really hard. I remember when I was sort of a bit of a porker before I really started to watch what I was eating and stuff. Every meal just seemed to, if it didn't include some kind of starchy food, it just didn't seem like a meal, and it can take a little bit of reprogramming to get your head around the fact that you don't necessarily have to have a starchy carbohydrate in your meal for it to be a meal, and some of the pictures that people are sharing in the group of their food is proof of that, and it just looks absolutely phenomenal. So Pip's beef broth today looks absolutely gorgeous. Salmon, the best salmon salad I think I've ever seen from Donna. Definitely a better cook than me. What if this? I can't read what that is. It's quite small on my screen, but it looks like some kind of trout or something. With a tomato and onion salad. Smoked mackerel with like a radish avocado salad, it was some tomatoes and basil. That just looks beautiful. Absolutely brilliant stuff. So keep them going. Give people ideas of what you're eating and what they can be eating as well. Okay. As with everything, what we're going to do is going to have a little bit of Eva's saying she keeps waving at the screen, thinking I'm on a Zoom meeting. I know we're all programmed now, aren't we, as if we're on a Zoom meeting. What we're saying, yeah, a little bit of training, a little bit of a talk, and then it'll be over to you for your questions and stuff. I always ask, how has things been today? Tell me what day you're on and kind of how are things going? Have you experienced any withdrawal symptoms? What sort of situations, what triggers are you struggling with? If any, how are you finding it? How are you finding hunger, cravings, and headaches and that kind of stuff? I've got to say that yesterday, I don't know if I told you, but I went out it was supposed to be a 3-hour run. I did half of that and then I had to come back earlier, just had a headache and just felt bleh. And that's the best way to describe it. It's just like there. And then today I've had headaches as well. So definitely, definitely sort of feeling it. Although I didn't sleep great last night. Sometimes your sleep can get disrupted when when you're doing this kind of thing. So Claire's saying she was waving as well. So that's that. Yeah, let us know. Let us know what you're saying. Okay, let me bring up the slides. Obviously, everybody knows what I'm talking about in regards to starchy food. Okay, so it's it's potatoes, it's rice, it's bread, pasta, all those kind of things. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to kind of show you how all this come about really. So what I've got on the screen now is I've got two things. Okay, on the left, as you look at it, we've got what's called the Eat Well plate. So some of you might have seen this Eat Well plate before. Okay, and on the right, there's the food triangle. Now, both of these, I've seen different variations used. But fundamentally, these are like government standard information. So the NHS will use the food plate or the food triangle. The personal training courses will use these and kind of say, this is what your meals should be made up of. So you can see, the green on the food plate is all vegetables and a bit of fruit. Okay, then we've got like proteins in the pink, which includes like beans and legumes. We've got blue, which is a little bit of dairy. This one here, which has been obscured by this little thing here, I've got the wrong title, never mind, is like oils and margarines in there, a little bit fats in there. But then we've got this massive slice here, just full of starchy carbohydrates from crisps to bread, potatoes, biscuits, anything that kind of contains flour and all this kind of stuff. So this is the information that the government, the food industry, the NHS, your medical professional, your personal trainer, fitness instructor, whatever, this is kind of what they're instructed to tell society. This is what we should be eating as a balanced meal. Now, the problem with that, or the reason for that, fundamentally, is because if we all ate lean meats, fresh fruit, and fresh vegetables, it'd be a bit of a nightmare. Okay, we'd find it really hard to keep up with the demand for food in this country. But one thing we can keep churning out is all this processed, refined grains, bread, rice. Fundamentally, it's pretty much the same. The same handful of ingredients, just made up and constituted into a different way. Okay, so about 10,000 years ago, we started eating bread because we started to farm and mess around with stuff, and then we started to eat bread, and it's just something that we can sustain. It's something we can keep in the cupboards. It's something that we can form meals around. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's good for what we want to do. And a lot of the autoimmune problems that we have in our body is caused by these grains or parts of these grains that we just don't digest very well. If you think about like IBS, colitis, the celiac disease. I was talking about psoriasis yesterday with my dad. A lot of these was to do with like starchy foods like this. The other thing is, and if I bring up my little diagram that I let me find it here, that I was using the other day. Remember, we have this little spectrum. Let me just hide your comment, Claire. This little spectrum of like, this is like poor quality food, which really spikes insulin and just doesn't bring any vitamins and minerals and all this kind of stuff. And up here is like, it's packed full of vitamins and minerals and other food macros. And it's much better for your blood sugar and insulin. Well, a lot of these like breads, rice, pasta, and all that kind of stuff, I bet, especially the kind of the white versions are really right down here at the bottom. So poor quality and so simple in their makeup in regards to the molecules and the chains linking them up. It's so simple that we can just break them down and absorb them and start to use them or start to process them in the mouth you know, and obviously that then, as we know from yesterday's training, which if you haven't watched yet, then, you know, make sure you go back and find it, will give us a massive spike in insulin. And remember that if insulin isn't present, it's hard to say it isn't present because there's always like an amount of insulin, like a residual amount or whatever. But the more insulin there is, the more the body will store excess energy as body fat. Okay, so we want to reduce the amount of insulin that is released in the body. So if we're eating lots of this white, starchy carbohydrates in whatever form it is down here, we are going to be spiking our insulin really, really badly. Now, imagine as well, if you think about like a bun or a muffin or something like that, it's basically bread with more sugar in it, you know, other sweets and stuff like that. So now, you know, it's almost like a double whammy because there's very little protein, very little fats, you know, in a lot of them. And but just tremendously insulin spiking, an absolute overload to the body. So this is why I'm kind of encouraging people to really look at their starchy carbohydrates. What have I done with my screen? Here it is. There we go. To really look at their carbohydrates and starchy foods, because, you know, there's a bit of a double whammy. One, they're going to spike your insulin. Every bit of starchy food, even if you have good quality bread, good quality rice, good quality pasta, it's going to spike your insulin in some way. It's going to be midway here in regards to, you know, in the spectrum of all carbohydrates here. If you used to have like a green salad with some avocado and some oil, something like that, that's right up here. Okay, so we need to, you know, just kind of be aware of that. As well as that, remember I said I think it was yesterday, I said that you are only one or two things done daily away from the success you want, whatever it is, okay? Whether it's weight loss, fitness, whatever, you're one or two daily routines away from that, you know? And it might just be that cutting out these big chunks of starchy carbohydrates, just reduce insulin enough, reduce the amount of calories that you're eating, give you better health, you know, rid you of some of these autoimmune problems, which will allow you then to go on and be healthy and achieve your goals. All right. So that's that. I've got with the other thing as well. If we look at is it showing? I don't think it is it? In regards to the food triangle, which again, I'm just gonna bring up again. It's exactly the same. Now, the idea behind this food triangle is that the food at the bottom we should eat the most of. And then, you know, so which you can see is all these heavily farmed bits of food that we can just churn out. I mean, I can't remember actually what it is, but they can basically take like a ton of grain and just turn that into like 3 or 4 tons of bread, maybe even more than that, you know? So it's in the government's interest for you to eat that stuff and to base your meals around that kind of stuff because it can sustain it. Then you've got your fruit and veg. Then you've got a little bit of dairy, your proteins on the right, and then at least up here, it's saying that fast food and sugary food, okay, we should be having the bare minimum of. All right, but you can see what we need to do in reality is completely just cut away that slice. If you cut away that bottom slice of the food triangle, you're already going to make some massive improvements to your nutrition and the food that you eat. After that, then, you know, if you can cut away this bit at the top, this pinnacle bit here, you are actually eating really well, you know, regardless of the little bits of things that's in here that could be improved. You've got rid of the big hitters, the easy wins that we was talking about the other day. All right. So that's pretty much what I want to talk about today. So really look at these foods. There is always some way to improve the food, even if you're on route 2 and you're just tapering down and just giving up bits by bit. You know, you can go from you might be having like a cheap variation of bread or lots of it. And then you might want to just go for a better quality bread. Or one of the things that I did when I first started to lose weight was I would just, if I got a sandwich, because it's just, let's face it, they are quick and easy to eat or to get, I would literally just ditch half the bread straight away. And I'd just, ditch half the bread, fold the sandwich over and I'd eat that. Or if you had got a jacket potato, ditch half the jacket potato. With the pasta, just get rid of half the pasta, and just keep the other stuff. And remember, we're changing that ratio of all the other food groups to what you're eating. So that's it for today, training wise. I'm going to look through and put some of the comments and questions up on the screen. If you've got questions, if there's things you want to ask, then fire away. Rich is saying, taking all the info in this week, clearing down stuff in the freeze. I'm starting Monday. Yeah, good for you, Rich. Be interesting to see how you get on. But obviously you can see, I think if you get in the group, some people are starting to share their results already, 2 or 3 kilos down already. I myself are 2 kilos down from Christmas. So, and I'm a couple of, I'm doing the old ribbon, the lace around the waist, and I'm a couple of inches down on the old lace already. So, definite improvements, just in weight and body shape, getting rid of the bloat. That's another thing actually with bread, rice, pasta is that, often we have this bread bloat. Now, it's only when you cut it out that you finally realize you had this bloat. If people have been to boot camp before, we'll cut the bread out completely and they just thought, it's just perfectly normal, to have bread. I've never had a problem with it. When you cut it out and then you go back to eating it, suddenly you feel it and it's no longer the norm. So, just that can have a massive effect on your waist. Dora's saying day 4 and today has been the hardest for cravings. Yeah, and you know what? If I'm honest, it might get a little bit tougher, but it is definitely worth it and it will pass. You got through today. And you'll get through tomorrow. Okay, so you've got to keep going. Mildred's saying I'm in day 4 and I'm having some difficulties to sleep. Yeah, same me. I didn't sleep very well at all last night. It wasn't so much craving. I was just restless. I just seemed to have my energy was kind of mixed up a little bit. I got up. I've taken to having, I don't know if you can see that in my cup, but just boiled water. I'm not even having anything in it really. I quite like the taste of it. I know it's probably not for everybody, and people look at me sometimes like I'm weird. But this is what I'm drinking to stay hydrated, and I still feel like I'm drinking a hot drink. Donna say no cravings, no headaches, no hunger pangs yet. 4 trips to the loo in the night though. Yeah. We on that. I'm up and down for a lot more wheeze during the night. So that's a good thing though, because like I said before, in your liver, in your muscles, and even in your bloodstream to some extent, that the energy that's stored in there will hold water. Okay. So as we burn that energy off, it's going to release the water and it's going to let a lot of water out. So if you find that you actually retain a lot of water for whatever reason, you'll find that you'll start to lose it. Your hands will be less puffy. Your ankles will be less puffy. Sometimes even your face will be less puffy, and that's good. Just get it out and keep yourself hydrated, because the other thing that's happening there is as the water comes out, a lot of the other toxins are coming out as well. So that's very good. Claire's saying real hunger today, made bread using the excuse I was using up ingredients to save throwing them away, but it was only 0.5 grams sugar per 100 grams. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if you could work out how much fiber was in there. I won't say it was who kind of reached out privately. I've had a couple of people reach out privately, and that's fine. I'll answer wherever I can. Basically saying, I had 50 odd grams of sugars as per my app. Is this right? How do I reduce it? And then when we looked at the fiber that she'd eaten, and you minus the fiber from the total sugar, because we don't process fiber. The food industries will mark it down as a sugar, but because we don't process it, you can you can minus it from your total amount of sugars if you're using MyFitnessPal or some other kind of food tracker. And when we did that, she was well below, I think it was about 20 grams, and obviously she was aiming for about 25 grams throughout the day. So how much fiber was in that, Claire? If you know, and if you can work it out. Sophie says just been watching yesterday's. Good. 2 hours of me. I hope you're not too bored. Eva, glad I'm not the only one. I take it that's the waving at the screen. What's your opinion on breakfast? Is it important to have? Listen, we're gonna talk when we come on. So what are we on now? We're doing fresh start. We're on S of fresh today. H, we're gonna do hidden sugars tomorrow, and then we get into the start part of the process. Okay, S, sweeteners. T, timings. So in a couple of days, 3 days, I'm going to talk to you about timings. And one of the timings I'm going to talk to you about is this period of, people would call it intermittent fasting now as like a trendy way to manage weight. Fundamentally, think about it. It's how we used to bloody eat. We used to have our tea. We used to go to bed. We used to get up. We used to have breakfast. All right. So then people started having supper. Then we started having takeaways late at night and all this kind of stuff. And so now we've had to bloody try and, some marketer or fitness professional has come up with this idea of intermittent fasting. It's just how we used to eat. But with breakfast, okay, there are a few schools of thought. Some thoughts are that you should break the fast because it will sustain your energy throughout the day. In the past, I would have agreed with that. But now, I think through my own experimentation, I never eat before sort of 11, 12 o'clock during the day now. Well, I say never. I rarely, if I'm kind of in the office, if I'm working or whatever, I'm not even thinking about breakfast until sort of mid-morning at least. And what I'm after is about 12 to 14 hours without eating. So from having my last meal late at night, I'm aiming for about 12 to 14 hours because some interesting things happen there in regards to insulin. I'm just going to draw you a little picture on my little tab again. Let me clear this off. Okay, so imagine we have our dinner. Okay, now most dinner, unless you're having something like just an avocado or a little bit of protein or whatever, most foods, most meals are going to spike your insulin. Okay, you're going to get a spike of insulin. Now, what happens when you get a spike of insulin past a certain threshold is not only does the body go into fat storage, okay, I'm going to put FS, but it's almost like locks the door on fat use for energy, right? So I'm going to put fat use down here. Okay, so it kind of locks the door. This is like locked. It can't do it. All right. This is one of the reasons why when people do a diet where they're still eating a lot of really glycemic, really insulin spiking food, they lose weight because the energy in their body reduces down and you get really quick weight loss. However, when you do it for a sustained period, what eventually happens is we get to the point where we've got no energy left. Because we're still spiking insulin, we cannot tap into fat use in the body. So what the body starts to do then, it goes into this starvation mode that you would heard about, where we start to break down our connective tissues, our little bit of muscle, and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually we fall off the wagon because it's way too restrictive, and then we pile all the weight on. And then the problem is because we've got less muscle, and it might only be marginal, but because we've got less muscle, our organs and everything is our metabolism. We've got a much slower metabolism. Then we start piling weight on and you end up with more. So by controlling the insulin, wrong. So what I want you to bear in mind, so imagine you have your dinner here, say 6 o'clock, okay, 6:30, 7 o'clock or whatever. That spikes the insulin. If there's an excess amount of energy, you're going to put it into a fat storage mode. Don't worry about that too much. Now, what happens throughout the night is our insulin will gradually drop like this, okay? Now, at about 12 hours, our insulin balances, okay? So where this line is like locked, okay, our insulin levels drop below there, and then we can then tap into excess body fat, what we call adipose tissue, for energy. So it means we're actually using our body fat. If we're constantly in a state of spiked insulin, we're not using the fat that we've got stored, but that's what we want to do. So what I would say is I encourage you to aim for that 12, 14, maybe 16, even up to 18. There's lots of health benefits for different periods along that scale. And and aim for that. What I would say on the back of that though is if it creates this feeling of restriction to the point where after that 12 hours you start binging, I would then say, right, you need to be putting a little bit of breakfast in there, but go for protein heavy, with some good quality fats, and avoid the cereals. So breakfast, is it important to have? No, you definitely get away with it. There's some health benefits of just of extending that fast a little bit, unless you have a mindset where, heck, I've been restricting for bloody hours and hours on end, and then you just binge. Okay, that's what we're trying to avoid. So, Claire saying, yeah, I'm bloated now after only a day. A little bit of bread, yeah, it's immense. When you start reintroducing that. Mika's saying, I'm okay, no cravings, but waiting for it to hit the fan. Maybe it won't come. Maybe it won't. Sometimes I think we wait for these things, and it just doesn't come. So, as we would have to ride the shitty wave, ride the good wave, and just get out, enjoy it, do whatever you're going to do, and then it might not actually come along. Feeling really cold today. That's when you messing around with your energy intake and your food intake, it can mess around with your thermogenics, so the way you create heat in the body. So yeah, it may well be that because you mess around with your food, you are feeling the cold, or it might be that it's just absolutely dropped in Norway. Eva, I don't know, what is it? Andrew's saying the more I drink, the thirstier I get. Okay. Tell me what kind of things you are drinking, how much you drinking. Sometimes what you can get when you start to reduce sugar, you can get like a metallic taste in your mouth, like a dry taste in your mouth. And it's a bit like keto breath, if you've ever done like a ketogenic diet or something like that, like a bit of a meat breath where it's almost, it's just something going on. You're like there in your mouth. And you can, your lips can get a bit tingly and all this, and you can interpret that as a bit of thirst. Is it that, and as long as you're going to the toilet pretty regular and weeing clear or the color of pale straw, I wouldn't worry too much about it. If you're going to the loo and it's like pretty dark, like you've just pissed out bloody Lucozade, or not as bad as that, but you know what I mean, then definitely keep on drinking. But you can drink too much, Angie, okay? So don't be absolutely just drinking like mental. 3.3 grams of fiber per 100 grams in the flour. Yeah, so you can do your maths there, and there's a little bit to obviously cut off your so what was that? You've got 0.5 grams of sugar per 100 grams of right, okay. So yeah, so what I meant was your total amount of carbohydrates, you minus your fiber from that. Okay, so Kathy saying, is it okay to include teas, coffee, and milk in the day? 2 liters of water we should be aiming for. Yeah, about 2 liters is about right. Tea and coffee, yeah, good. Obviously, in moderation, especially the milk. So herbal teas, fruit teas are going to be better because obviously caffeine is a stimulant, and when it comes to already disrupted sleep because you're changing your sugar intake and all that kind of stuff, it might affect you. But that kind of thing, it's really down to you. You don't have to be worried about it too much. Obviously, if you're putting a lot of milk in your tea and coffee, you're going to be spiking insulin there with that. But usually it's marginal. So just keep it as little as you can, and obviously no sugar or sweeteners in there. What have I done? I locked it somehow. Angie saying tea and water about 4 liters. Okay, I wouldn't go, especially in the weather we've got right now, any more than that, Angie. It definitely sounds like it's a bit of like keto, like a bit of keto breath or something like that. So yeah, I don't think it needs to be going any more than 4 liters. Just keep an eye on the wheat. Going to the loo lots. I haven't looked at the color, but will. Yeah, yeah. Check it out. I know it's a bit weird, but it's important that you do kind of check it and just keep an eye on it. You can, like I said, you can overhydrate. You can drink way too much. In fact, the majority of people that die in endurance events like the London Marathon and all that, it's not because of not drinking enough. It's usually because they've drank way too much. So I'm not saying you're going to die, but it's worth just keeping an eye on it. Coolio, right? So just after 30 minutes there, any more questions? I don't mind finishing a little bit early. Obviously, we've got Boris's latest announcement tonight. So understand if you want to get off a little bit earlier and get ready for that. So yeah, if you've got questions, comments, or whatever, then stick them in. If not, we'll start wrapping it up. Tomorrow, like I said, we're going to do is the H of fresh. So we're going to do hidden sugars. Okay, talk a little bit about that. Going to give you a little bit of homework, nothing too much, but basically when you're out and about in the shops or at home, just looking out for those hidden sugars. You know, like we said, over 50 aliases that sugar has. Angie saying bye. Thanks. Thank you, Angie. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Good luck. Claire saying, is it okay to have sweet potato to help with carb cravings? Yeah, you can have that. What I used to do was I used to basically, like a medium-sized sweet potato, I'd cut it into quarters. All right, I'll cut a few of them into quarters. I'd then just bake them in the oven and then just have them in the fridge sometimes as just like a little snack just to grab it. The thing with that is that the sweet potato, although nutritionally better than white potatoes, it's still insulin spiking. So you want to moderate how much you're eating there, Claire. It's one of those foods where you can go freaking mental thinking it's a health food and actually do quite a bit of damage. And as well as that, if you can have it with a little, with a bit of protein or fats, then you're going to be helping to control some of that insulin spiking effect of it. So yes, in moderation is the answer to that. Mika saying, thank you. Good luck, all of you, with Boris. Yeah, and you. Yeah, we'll need it. Dora saying Scotland in lockdown until Feb. And thank you, Craig. Thanks. Yeah, I saw that in the news. Absolutely locked down. In my opinion, it's just like there's no better time to be doing this, really, because imagine sort of popping out of another lockdown and you're worse off than when you first went in there. It really is the time to crack this. Chris saying, cheers, Craig. We'll tune in tomorrow. Good luck, Chris. Yeah. Good to virtually chat with you, I suppose. Hope you're doing all right, mate. Hope the knee's on the mend. It's weird. I think you had the first little op the same time as Paula. Paul had a knee replacement in December last year. And, and you're still going. God bless you. Paula's up and about and just cracking on as normal. In fact, her knee's never been as good. So, I hope you kind of get it all sorted soon. Alison saying, thank you, brilliant. Kathy saying, thanks, Craig. Cheers, Craig, and bye from Claire. Pip says, thank you. Okay, guys, so we'll wrap it up there. Thanks again for joining me tonight. As always, if you've got questions, stick them in the group, things that you'd like me to cover in some of these live trainings. We've only got 6 left before I stop doing them every night. I'll just do them every other night or whatever. Okay, so if you think there's a hole in your knowledge, or you want some tips on something other than sugar, maybe some habits. I've already mentioned like maybe like try a group hypnotherapy for some of the foods that you struggle with. Then let me know. Do we add questions into this thread? No, because I probably won't check this thread because there's like however many comments on this thread now. I don't know how many. What I'll do is I'll put a little prompt in the group tomorrow morning. You know, I'll sort of say, you know, have you got any questions, stick them below, whatever, and then I'll make sure to include them in the training at night time. Where are we? Alice saying thumbs up. Okay, we'll call it there then. Thanks, guys, for turning up. I'll well done again, and we'll see you. What's this? I will ask tomorrow. Reference plant-based foods. Yep, coolio. Okay, see you later.